We're back to this frog, and what we're going to do in this tutorial is just understand image size and resolution. So if I go ahead and open the image size panel by holding down the Command Alt keys and clicking I, or you can obviously find it under image, you can see that obviously there's this panel. At the top there's the width and the height in pixels, and then the document size in inches. Because that's what I have selected, and you can do the same because in the US we work with inches as opposed to in the Middle East in centimeters and so forth. So there are three other things in this panel. There's this thing called scale styles, constraint proportions, and resample image. Now let's see what happens if we uncheck one of them or we don't. First of all, without doing anything with these three options, let me go ahead and change the size of my image. So you see these links right here. These links mean that when I change either the width or the height, the second side is going to increase or decrease proportionally with the change. So let's say I change the width of this image to 900 pixels. Notice how the height also changes proportionally to whatever value it should. So it became 570 pixels, and nothing happened to the resolution. The resolution was 72 dpi and it stayed as such. So now if I hit OK, I just have the same image but in a smaller size with the same resolution. Let's go back to the image size panel. Okay, so what if now we uncheck scale styles? So let's go ahead and do that, and also change the value of the width to 900 pixels. And you notice that the same exact thing happens. Why? Because we kept constraint proportions and resample image checked. The most important part is the constraint proportions. Constraint proportions is basically telling Photoshop you are forced to keep the proportions, keep these linked. When we change the width, go ahead and change the height as well. So if I click OK, the same thing happens. The resolution didn't change, only the image width and height changed proportionally. Okay. I want to check scale styles again, and this time I want to uncheck constraint proportions. So the minute I uncheck constraint proportions, this link disappears. You see? And the minute you see that the link disappeared, it means that now you are free to change the width or the height, or basically change the width but keep the height as it is. So now when I enter 900 pixels instead of 1673 for the width, I'm expecting the height to remain 1060 pixels. So let me go ahead and do that. You see? So I changed the width to 900 pixels, but the height remained the same. Same thing if I do, if I change the height, let's say I change it to 500 pixels, the width remains the same because I unchecked constraint proportions or keep proportions. And now if I hit OK, what I have is a distorted image. So pay attention when you're changing sizes of your images. You might get a distortion, something could look odd. Now this little frog is squished because we didn't maintain the proportions, we ruined them basically. Going back to the image size panel, always pay attention to have constraint proportions checked. Unless for some reason, you want something to scale down without the proper proportions, then it depends on the project. Finally, if we uncheck resample image, what happens in this case? So let's look at the width and the height and the resolution of this image. Apparently the width is 23 point values after the decimal point, and the height is 14.7 something. The resolution is 72 pixels per inch. What if I change either the width or the height? Let's say I reduce the width to 10 inches. Let's see what will happen. Before I enter the value 10, look at the right side and you can see that there's this link right here. Okay, so this link is indicating that the width and the height and the resolution are all tied together. So if I change anything, if I change either the width or the height or the resolution, the rest is going to be affected. Okay, so if I reduce the width from 23 to 10, let's see what happens. Okay, the height also went down proportionally. And what happened to the resolution? The resolution went up. It became 167.3 as opposed to 72 dpi. So what's the logic behind this? Why did the resolution increase in this case? Well, the answer is because, first of all, the width and the height and the resolution are linked. So basically we're telling Photoshop, whenever I scale my image down on the width, make sure to maintain the height for me, the proportion of the height, so scale that down too. And also maintain the resolution of the image. So if I have a smaller image, the resolution becomes higher. If I change my proportions to a bigger image, the resolution becomes smaller. So let me show you how. If I change this width to, let's say, 50 inches, what do we expect now for the resolution to become? So if I change 23 to 50, the resolution went down to 33.46. So this is exactly the concept of, when you work in industry and you're working with a printing press and they tell you, please don't scale up your images up to a certain point, because then you will start losing resolution. So what we did is we increased the image size so much, the resolution became 33.46%, pixels per inch, which is quite low. But since the image is a big image, it's a 50-inch image, it looks fine. So if I hit OK, nothing changes visually for you, but in reality this is a 50-inch image and its resolution is 33 pixels per inch.